Hi there, I'm Miss Barbara, and we are going to talk today about success. Our lesson today is called, What is Success? So let's start with our affirmation because it gives us a pretty good answer. So the affirmation is, my success is measured in happiness and peace within. Will you say it together with me 2 more times? My success is measured in happiness and peace within. And once more, my success is measured in happiness and peace within. So I think we'll just start by going right into our story, and then we'll have some discussion questions and just visit about it a little bit, okay? So the story is adapted from a Jewish folktale, and it's called The Isaacs Have a Party. Graziella was a plain little woman who lived in an ordinary little house in an unremarkable little town. There was nothing fancy about her at all. She was not the mayor or the judge, but she was often consulted when a decision needed to be made or a problem resolved. When people followed her advice, things turned out well. Her garden was the most abundant one in town, and she made the best potato pancakes you could find anywhere. Everyone in the town loved and respected her. Mr. and Mrs. Isaac bought land and a big house on the edge of town. They wanted to make a good impression with all the neighbors, so they planned a party. But they were only interested in being friends with important, successful people. So they told the butler to be very careful about passing out the invitations. The butler first invited the mayor and the judge. Then he invited the people who lived in the biggest houses on Main Street and on First Street. He gave an invitation to old General Gruber because a statue of the general stood in the city park. He made sure the teacher of the year was invited, and he gave invitations to the entire hockey team because they won the state championship. Then he gave one to Hilda, who owned Hilda's home furnishing superstore, which was big enough to fill a city block. Of course, the man who owned the bank was invited, and the last invitation went to the actress who had the lead role in the upcoming play. The party was underway when one of the hockey players asked the butler, "Why didn't you invite Graziella? She is the most important and successful person in town." The butler was horrified. What if his employer discovered his mistake? He ran all the way to Graziella's house. Every morning, Graziella spent time in prayer, watched the sunrise, and then worked in her garden. That was where the butler found her. He hastily explained about the party and his employers and asked that she come with him immediately. He appeared so upset, she agreed to come and hurried with him back to the party. Still worried that his employers would discover his mistake, the butler asked Graziella to wait in the kitchen while he went to the dining room and set a place for her at the elegant dining table. Mr. and Mrs. Isaac walked in the kitchen to check on the food, and they saw a plain little woman in dirty clothes, a torn apron, and muddy shoes. "What are you doing here?" they asked. "Your butler asked me to come," Graziella explained with a kind smile. "That can't be right. Look at your clothes." The Isaacs were confused. "We are having a dinner party for important, successful people, not people with dirty, torn clothes. You can't be here. Please leave and take your muddy shoes with you." Graziella calmly left, but there was a twinkle in her eye. She didn't go home. She walked to a friend's house. There she washed, and her friend took out her fanciest clothes from the back of her closet. Raziella borrowed the loveliest dress, the shiniest jewelry, and the most stylish shoes and purse. Then, with a sparkling diamond comb in her hair, she went back to the party. This time she went in the front door and was greeted by the Isaacs with eager smiles. They didn't recognize her as the same woman they had kicked out of the kitchen earlier. She was offered wine and a seat at the head of the table. After dinner was served to all the guests and they began to eat, Raziella picked up her spoon and began to scoop soup into her lap. Everyone stared in amusement, and the hockey player grinned. Raziella opened her purse and filled it with salad. Then she picked up her fork and put beans in her pockets. When Raziella picked up the gravy spoon, the Isaacs stood up and gasped, "What are you doing?" Raziella looked up before pouring gravy on her shoes and said, "It seems clear that you invited the clothes to the party, so I am just making sure the clothes enjoy this delicious dinner." The hockey player stifled a laugh, and the other guests wondered what would happen next. The Isaacs were astonished to realize their mistake. "We were so worried about making a good impression. We would like to try again. Would you, Raziella, like to come to our party?" Mr. Isaac said with a red face. Raziella rose and replied with a smile, "The clothes thank you for the wonderful meal. I would be happy to come to your party after I change." So let's talk about that story. It's pretty funny, huh? How do you think the Isaacs measured success? Do you think they measured success by inner happiness and peace within? I got the sense from the story that they measured success by things like having an important job, or winning an important award, or having a really big house in the best part of town, or owning an important business or a big business. Yeah. So how did the butler decide who to invite? I think he's right. I think he had a pretty good sense of what his employer thought was important, and he invited those people. How do you think Raziella measured success? You know, it talked about that she began each of her days with prayer and in her garden. And I think she measured it differently than the Isaacs. Do you think Raziella was saying it's wrong to wear fancy clothes? What do you think? I don't really think so myself. I think if maybe what she might have been saying is the clothes aren't the right place to focus, right? It's fine to wear fancy clothes, but success runs much deeper. It was something that the materials that we have for this lesson talk about is inward success and outward success. And what they say is that judging success in an outward way can be misleading, because too many things, like our own inner happiness and peace, are hidden from the view of everyone, right? They're internal. They're what we how we feel. They're related to how we feel. So measuring our own success by comparing ourselves with others or looking on the outside doesn't work very well. It doesn't work very well because success isn't determined by those things. We need to look in our own hearts to feel whether we are growing in our inner happiness, peace, and understanding. You know, the thing that I kept thinking about as I read this story was how calm she stayed, Raziella. She didn't get mad. She didn't yell. You know, when the Isaacs came into the kitchen and saw her in her dirty clothes and kicked her out of the kitchen, she could have said some ugly things, stomped off, and never come back. But she, you know, that there's a talk in there about the twinkle in her eye and the smile. I think she knew what success was for her, right? I just really liked how she handled herself in that story. So one more note from our lesson, and then I think we can wrap up. The lesson talks about, it says, we could say the smallest blade of grass is a success because it fulfills its purpose. This is really important. Our purpose is to be the spiritual beings we were made to be. Our purpose is to be the spiritual beings we were made to be. If we strive always to be an expression of spirit, then we are succeeding. So I hope that you enjoyed that lesson. I really got a lot out of that story. I thought it was a really great reminder of, especially, I know my own kiddos at this house have just taken their STAR tests, and there's a lot of work gets put into doing well in those tests. And I think, of course, we should always give our best. But I thought in this time of having just taken those tests, this is a good reminder about really what matters, what is success for each of us. So, okay, let's end with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. And the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And your Unity Sunday school teachers, we love you and we bless you. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope to see you soon. And until next time.